I'm going to show you how to create your character with what we call inheritance, which is what we're going to use a lot of in this game. As you can see from my content drawer, I'm actually further along in the game at this point, but I did want to go back and talk about how to create the character correctly. In the rest of the video that you'll watch, everything else is correct, but you're going to make sure that you use the character that I show you how to make. So first you want to make a base character that is going to be the base for all the characters. And this means enemies and allies. So in the RPG, enemies and allies have a lot in common. They both have health, they both do damage and have damage values, they both need to attack, they both need to take damage, they both need to have turns in the battle. So inheritance is a way for us to group things that are common so that we don't have to repeat that code all the time and we can make our game really modular. So basically, if I wanted to have like 50 enemies, it would be really, really easy to do that because I only have to do all the code for the enemies in one class that they all share. And then all I have to do is just create 50 what we call children classes that all have like different looks, like a purple enemy and a red enemy and a green enemy and a yellow enemy. And all I'm doing in those ones is just changing how the character looks and maybe changing their health and maybe changing how much damage they do, but I don't have to add code for any of those because they're all going to share the same code. And that's the really, really cool thing about inheritance, and we definitely want to use it in an RPG style game. So when you create your character for the first time, you are going to do a blueprint class and you're going to search for paper ZD character because that's going to be our parent. So even when we're just creating classes in Unreal from the very base, we are still using inheritance. We're just using the parent classes that are built into the engine, which actually we could modify if we wanted to get into the C++ code, which we won't. So don't explode your brain. But we are already using inheritance, so you already are kind of using that concept. Like for instance, all characters, when we create a character, they all have that player movement component and they all have that capsule collision. So those are things that are already in the parent that all the children have. So we're going to search for paper ZD character and you're going to click on it to create it. And you're going to call this one base character. Now I already have one, BP underscore base character. So just to go along with you right now, I'm just not going to put the underscore. But you're going to call it base character. And again, this is going to be the base that has all the things in common, even between enemies, even between allies. So if we double click to open it, it's going to look like this. We don't need to put any actual like sprite in here or anything because we're going to do all of that in the children. But as we add variables that this has in common, which we're not going to yet, but as we do, we'll put them in here. So then we're going to create a base ally. I suggest creating a folder for allies because you're going to have things in here. I don't know. I don't know where all my stuff is. But you could put all your sprite sheets in here if you wanted, or your sprites. I know like in earlier iterations of this video, I put them in a 2D assets folder. But sometimes I like to do specific to like enemies and allies. Like I'd like to have a folder in here that's like the ally assets and the folder that's the enemy assets. And then have those sprites specifically in there. So however you want to do the folder organization, but I suggest having a folder for allies so they're separated out. And then you're going to right click and create a blueprint class, and this is going to be your actual like base player character class. So we have the base character that enemies and allies share. And then we're going to create a base ally. So when you do inheritance, in order to have your parent, like remember before when we searched paper ZD character and that was our parent. So now we're going to search for the class we just made. So the BP base character, and that is going to be our parent. And you're going to click on that and you're going to select it and you're going to create a BP based ally. So that is how you're going to do the inheritance chain. If you open up the BP based ally, this is where, ignore all of my extra code because you won't have it yet, but this is where you're going to do all of the stuff for the rest of this video. So in the rest of the video, my old self, will reference base character as the class you're going to be in, but you guys will be in base ally. So anytime I say base character, you should be in base ally. We do set up this inheritance chain later in the videos anyway. I just wanted to change it so you're actually setting it up from the beginning so you don't have to modify as much later on. So if we open up base character, right now he has an animation component, which is from Paper ZD, which is really nice. We have a character movement component. We have a sprite flipbook, and we have an arrow component that shows us the direction our character is facing. So first, for a sprite flipbook, it's empty right now. Over here on the right in details where it says source flipbook, I can do this drop down, and I'm just going to pull in my idle front for now so that I can make sure that everything is sized good. That's what it looks like. So that's how small he is in here. But I already sized him how I wanted to in engine, so now I'm going to kind of size this around him. So I'm going to grab this capsule component, and there's a capsule half height and a capsule radius over here in the details, and I'm going to close that around the character so that it fits better. And this moves way too much, so I might slow down the camera, or I might just deal with it. So I'm going to fit that so it's like just around him that way and just around him this way. If I want there to be, this is collision, like this is where he's going to get blocked, right? So like I kind of want to do it on the furthest points that he has. You can move the character within here. So if like it's just not lining up good, like you can move him up or down a little bit, but you can't move the capsule itself. So you just need to move the character within there. You do want to make sure it goes to their feet or they will walk through the floor. So like just make sure that that collision is kind of around the character. That's where they're going to get blocked. Just making sure to compile and save as we go. Notice that this arrow component, my character is not facing that. I do want their forward facing direction to be that direction. Now, it's weird because we're going to do top down. So when they're facing us, when they're facing the camera, they're not actually facing necessarily forward, like for them to walk forward, right? So like to the right over here is their forward facing direction. And then this facing us right here. So like if I were to switch, because they'll keep changing their direction, right? But if I were to switch this to right, see now that arrow is correct. And they're going to flip in all the different directions, so we don't really want to worry about that arrow too much right now. We just want to make sure that the capsule is sized correctly here. So that's what we have for our character right now. We do want to check and see if he can spawn in the world. So let's go to our content drawer and create a game mode. So we're going to right click and we're going to go into the blueprint class here. And we're going to do a game mode base. And I'm going to call this RPG game mode. And we're not going to put anything in it. We're just going to have it. And we're going to go to edit and we're going to go to project settings. And we're going to go to maps and modes and we're going to change this game mode base, so maps and modes on the left, game mode base to the RPG game mode, and we're going to change that default pawn class to our Paper ZD character that we made, which is called base character. That autosave, so I'm going to close it now. If I play, I should spawn as my character. I can tell I spawned as my character because I can't move and I have no movement, but I don't see my character yet. And if you remember why, from when we kind of did programming stuff, we need to add a camera to actually be able to just see our character. Now, unlike a third-person camera, this camera is going to go in front of our character so that we follow them, and they are going to front face when they walk towards us, right, and back face when they walk away from us. The camera is going to be statically in front. That means when we design everything, we're designing it open to the front, right, kind of like a U shape. So like we want to think about that. So I'm going to click on this base character up here in the components upper left. I'm going to click add and I'm going to add a spring arm. And I'm going to click on the spring arm and I'm going to click add and I'm going to add a camera. And if I look at this, it's over here. Right now it's behind that arrow and that's not where I want it. So I am going to do a rotation and I am going to rotate this camera and I'm going to do it on the spring arm. Do not rotate the camera itself because if you move the camera, it's going to disconnect from the spring arm. So I'm going to rotate the spring arm negative 90 degrees. So now it's in front of the character. Now I want to kind of look at this. Usually we have kind of an angle on our top down character. So if I compile and save this and we run it, you can see I'm head on and I'm seeing most of the ground. So instead, I'm going to angle this camera by rotating that spring arm, again, up a little bit, and you can kind of mess with it and decide what angle looks good and where you want to be at. The other thing you can mess with is the length of the target arm. So here's the target arm length. If I make it 150, I'll get really close to the character. So if I run that, you can see I'm really close to the character. If I go back to 300, I'm further away from the character. So you can decide how much of the space you want the character to see. You do want to see a decent amount of space around the character for a top-down game. You can decide what that angle looks like for you, like how steep you want that angle to be. Um, right now, it's really like, oh, I did the bad thing. Don't move the camera. Right now, it's kind of like constrained to sets of 10. But if you want to be even more specific, you can click this little blue dot on the rotate. So, I mean, this little blue icon for rotate here, and it will allow you to freeform move it so it's not locked to a grid. And that will give you just a little bit more freedom with like the exact angle that you want and the exact length you want. All of that will kind of depend on how big your character is as well. So, you're going to consider all of those things. So there he is spawning a world. If at this point I decided he was too small, I was like, oh, I don't like that. I want him to be bigger than that. Remember that we can always go back into our sprites and we can batch edit them. So we can shift and select all of these, right click, asset actions, edit selection in property matrix. And then I'm going to select all of them in here with the shift click and pixels per unit. I could change that down to like 0.2. I could save this. And I could spawn him, and now he's going to be bigger. He is going to be in the floor because I have to mess with our collision box. Notice that when I did that, our capsule component is like way too small for him now. So I have to make it bigger and wider. And I maybe want to move the sprite inside of there a little bit. Sprite, come back. And then run it, and there's our character. And then maybe at that point, because oh, he's bigger, so maybe I want the spring arm length to be also bigger and show more of the space, so I can run it like that. And now I see a lot of space, but he's also bigger in the space. So again, you can always mess with that. So kind of get it to a good feel where you like where the character is and where the camera is spawning. Get that really good before we go into the actual movement code in the next video. One last thing about the camera. So if you, and this project is later on, so don't worry about extra stuff, but just if you are playing the game and you have an object and you try to go behind that object, it's going to do something like this. And the reason is because our camera is in front, and that spring arm that we have connecting the camera to the character actually is doing a collision test to see if it's colliding with anything, and it's causing this weird thing where when it does collide with something, because it's in front of the character, it zooms us in like this, and it's kind of off-putting and weird. So because we have the camera in front of the character, we actually want to turn off that collision test. It's the same if we do like 2D platformers in Unreal Engine, we usually turn off that test. So you're going to go into your BP based ally and click on your spring arm in the upper left in the capsule components, and you're going to search over here for collision in the details. And where it says do collision test, I want you to tick that off and compile and save. You might not have anything in your level to test this with, but as I showed you, it is going to be an issue when you actually do add stuff to your level. So make sure that you turn that off. And then if I play, I should be able to go behind objects and not have that weird collision test happening. So make sure that you have that spring arm selected, search for collision, and turn that do collision test off.